I was going through some old footage
Salvation.
this week.
Sadly, I have no idea.
I was going through some old footage this week of some of the series and videos we've done in the past, and it was a lot of fun. What is like one of your favorite series that we've done?
Super.
Super was a lot of fun. What else?
I think I like Daniel.
Daniel.
Yeah. I like
Daniel, interesting.
I like Jesus who?
We don't have a poster for that. I need to see if I still have that graphic somewhere. Yes.
I almost brought one of them.
Oh, the Esther one. Yeah, not my purpose.
Okay.
Yes. Lord of the Ruins. That was fun too. Tonight we're gonna do. It's kind of like a part 2. So who was here last week?
Oh, I was not here last week.
You were not here last week. Okay, so I'm just gonna recap. Last week was a big gospel. We looked back at the gospel. We defined the gospel. We by the way, what was our gospel definition? The simple version. Remember? Ooh, very good. Jesus in my place. That's right. We looked at what? That was the exact word for word. That was our definition of the gospel. Jesus in my place. We looked at Romans 3:23, Romans 6:23, Romans 10:9, and some other scriptures. So tonight is kind of a part 2. Kind of. Last week we looked at what the gospel is. This week I want to look at one thing. I know, school's close to getting out, so everybody's anxious. Anyway, last week we looked at what the gospel is. This week we're going to look at one thing the gospel is not. And this is something in your day and age that people are saying is true when it's not true. I'm going to read some scripture, but I just want you to listen. This is not in your notes. You ready? You ready? Here we go. And Jesus said unto his disciples, go into all the world, teaching all men to live any way they want, and urging each to find his or her own path to God. Let not any one of you make someone feel inferior or victimized because of their beliefs. Above all, be tolerant. Verily, verily, I say unto you that what you believe and how you do not matter, so long as you are sincere. Leaving that place, Jesus led his disciples to Jerusalem, where they broke bread at Club Upper Room. There he addressed them again, saying, I am one of the ways, one of the truths, and just one possible life. If you are basically a good person, you're okay in my book, and if you choose to come to the Father or Mother through me, that's cool. Now go forth and live according to whatever feels good to you. And there was much rejoicing. Is that in the Bible? No. That is absolutely not in the Bible. So why did I read that? Because it's not true.
What not to do.
Exactly. This is what Jesus did not teach. For those of you who were here at church this past Sunday, Tony spoke about Jesus, and he spoke that there's one thing you cannot say about Jesus. Do you remember what that was? You cannot say he's a good person. You cannot say that Jesus is a good person because Jesus claims to be God. Good people don't claim to be God. If I claim to be God, you guys would be like, yeah, we're not coming back next week. Okay?
I'd be like,
Crazy.
my pastor needs to speak it.
Exactly! Exactly! That's exactly the point. Jesus claimed to be God, so he's not just a good person. Either he lied, either he's crazy, or either it's true. We sang tonight that only Jesus can, and that's what I'm going to look at. Tonight, actually, what I want to do is I want to show you, the bulk of our devotion will actually be a Devo from this guy. Ironically, his name is Ryan. Okay? I want to show you a Devo, or a video from this guy, and I respect him a lot. He's a really good teacher, really good. You'll find out. He's really good at communicating. And then we're going to talk about kind of what he talked about. So without further ado, watch this video.
Tolerance has changed its definition. It's fantastic. It's amazing in America. We've changed the definition of tolerance. It used to mean you believe something, I believe something different from you. I have an opposite belief system from you. We're going to get along, understand that we both have differences. I can live with that. You believe something different from me, I'm okay with that. It doesn't bother me, doesn't offend me, I'm all right with that. Tolerance today means that you believe something different from what I believe, and we can both be right. Isn't that amazing? We can both be right. We can always be right. All of us, both of us, we can be right. It just feels so good. I just hug. I want to hug everybody. Just warmness. I was on an airplane, I was sitting, and I don't like to talk on airplanes, I like to sleep on airplanes. I have a 2.5-year-old, he woke up 5 times last night. I'm night shift guy, so I was getting bottles and changing diapers, and this is what he did. He's not done this before. He came in our bed, he goes, Dada, Baba, and he threw his bottle at me. Really? And then what did I do? I picked it up and got him a bottle. I'm training him to hit me with things. So I like to sleep on airplanes. I put the iPod on, turn the music up loud, drowned out everybody, and I like to sleep. And I was on an airplane, and there was nobody in the middle. There's some guy against the window. He's far away from me. That's fine. Put the iPod on. And then the woman starts coming down the aisle, and she's like, chicken or beef, and, all this. And she gets to me, she's like, chicken or beef? And I was like, I don't know, surprise me, because I'll be surprised if that's chicken or beef. And she didn't think I was funny. I did. I was laughing to myself. I was like, I'm sitting in my chair going, I am so funny. And she's like, you eat this. And it was gray-colored meat with gravy and salty, which means I'll probably eat it. And the kid against the window goes, oh, do you have a vegetarian plate? And she's like, we do. I'm like, you do? Why? Oh, I mean, you do. And she gave him food that really looked like food, like real, actual, it grew somewhere. It was food. And he's eating it, and he's very happy, and I'm looking at my gray, gravy-covered, salty meat. And I thought, maybe he's just smarter than us. Maybe he just gets actual food on airplanes. And vegetarians, by the way, y'all just fascinate me. I think to myself, could I be a vegetarian? No. I can't even get the word out without my body going, no, stop, don't say it. Please eat the meat. And so, I don't mind. If you don't want to eat meat, that's fantastic. Sit next to me. I'll give you things I don't want. You give me things you don't want. We'll, hug and awesome. But I'm curious. I will ask you why every time. I want to know why. I want to know the story behind why it is you've chosen not to eat meat of any kind. And the vegans, wow. No honey because of the plight of the honey bee? How do you not eat honey? It's delicious. It's good on everything. You could have, it's just good. So he's sitting there and he's eating vegetables, and I was like, hey, can I ask you a question? And he's like, oh, yeah, sure. I go, are you really vegetarian? And he's like, oh, yeah. I'm like, how long has it been? Like it's prison or something, And he goes, oh, 10 years. And I went, 10 years! I'm sorry, 10 years. Wow. Why? And I just can't contain myself. I have to ask why. I want to know, and I'm not offending people by saying the why. And most of the time you get health. Oh, I'm a vegetarian for health reasons. And I'm like, really? Because rarely do you see like a huge UFC fighter or a big WWE superstar going, I'm a vegetarian. I'll crush you, It's mostly guys my size like, I'm a vegetarian, That's just how I view life in generalities, I'm expecting health reasons from him. He looks me dead in the eye and he goes, oh, well, animals are my friends and I don't want to eat my friends. Now, what you may or may not know about me is I have very little self-control over this part of my body. If you ask my beautiful wife, she will tell you I have very little self-control over this part of my body. I tend just to go, and it just runs right out. And in my head, I was like, I love animals. I like them sauteed and fried and grilled and la, 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 la. If you cut a fish up right, I'll just eat it raw. Just right out of the river, just lake, ocean, whatever. I didn't say that out loud. The other thing that was crazy is I had just come off of a 3-day hunting trip, and in a cooler in the baggage area were a bunch of his friends. I was a little bit worried for baggage retrieval. Ryan, what's in the cooler? Run! No! So, my policy of not talking on an airplane got thrown straight out the window. We talked the entire flight. I didn't even ask him if he wanted to. I was like, we were talking because you are interesting, and that is a fantastic answer, and I must know everything about you. And we talked. It was fantastic. He lives on a houseboat, and I'm like, that's amazing. What's it like? And he's like, oh, it's pretty cool. I'm like, what's it like in a storm? And he's like, we live in a harbor, so it doesn't really. I'm like, oh, man. I was hoping, just like rolling out of bed and tying things down, like Velcro on your cups, and that'd be a better story. You should make that up if you live on a houseboat, We glue everything down. I have to wash the bowl on the table, When we have more people over, we glue more bowls down. And we were talking about something. I get very excited, and not that you have any idea that happens. And something was going on. It wasn't he or I that was taking place, but something in the world. I'm like, that's wrong. Can you believe how wrong that is? And he goes, oh, Ryan, I don't believe in right and wrong. I am now physically holding my mouth shut. I am trembling. And in my head's going, slap him in the face, slap him really hard. Because it wouldn't be wrong. I'd just be like, he'd be like, don't do that. I'm like, why not? Touche. I'm like, you what? You don't believe in right and wrong? I cannot contain myself. I have literally no self-control at this point. I'm like, you don't really? You don't? The concept at all? He's like, no, I don't believe in right and wrong. I'm like, really? So in society and your friends and your relationship, no right and wrong. There's no right and wrong. He's like, there's no right and wrong. I'm like, nowhere, anywhere, no right and wrong. No right and wrong. I'm like, that is awesome. Why? That's what I want you to think about. Why? Why is it that people believe these things? Don't think about what you want to say next. Think about why. When you're talking to your friends, think about why. Why do they believe these things? Why are they following this path in life? Why? Ask that why question. If not out loud, at least in your brain, try to get in the mind of another person. Why do we believe these things? Is there something that happened in our life? Is there a situation that we've been in? Is there a way that we've been raised so that we have that why? But I said it out loud. Why? And he started to talk. I have no idea what he said. Not a clue. He talked, and it was Charlie Brown's teacher. I was like, "Mom, mom, 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 mom." That was all that was going on. And I was like, what? They're stringing lots of words together, and none of them made sense. There was something about government and oppression and blooming and growing, and I didn't know if he was talking about agriculture or people or babies. And so I said, well, can I ask you, like, some questions, about your belief system? And he was like, oh, yeah, totally, And so I started, and he goes, wait! And I was like, oh, yes. And he goes, Ryan, I just want you to know that no matter what I say, I don't want my viewpoints and my opinions to offend or oppress you in any way. And I was like, what? And he goes, I just don't want for you to feel oppressed or offended or hurt by any of the things that I say, because my viewpoints don't have to be your viewpoints. We can both be right. You can believe something, I can believe something totally different. We can both be right in our own viewpoints. I'm just telling you, this is what I believe. You don't need to believe it. You don't have to believe it. It's okay. We can always compromise. We can always just come to an agreement. We can get along. We can both be right. I was like, I didn't know what you do. Do you shake hands or hug after somebody says that? I was like, oh, you're cute. I was thinking, I really don't care enough to be offended by you, but okay. And he's like, okay, that's good. I just want to tell you that. I just wanted to, for us to get that out I wanted to feel. And I was like, again, we're good. And he's like, okay, what do you got? And I was like, well, how do you feel about abortion? And that's a hot topic, and people get, very emotional about that. I'm adopted. My birth mom was 16 years old. She was had a family of 4 already. She was one of 4, had brothers and sisters. There's not a lot of chance of survival for people like me this day. If you get pregnant and you're 16 years old and you've got 4 brothers and sisters, most people don't keep the baby. It's a big issue for me, and I want to talk about it. I was like, well, how do you feel about abortion? He goes, oh, Ryan, it's a woman's body. It's her choice. It's her body. If a government tells her what she can or can't do with her body, if a religion tells you what you can or can't do with your own body, that's oppressive and offensive. It's going to oppress people. I don't want to oppress anybody. I think people should be left alone to do whatever they think is right for themselves in their own situation. I was like, there's like 1.4, 1.6 million babies killed to abortion every year in America alone. And he goes, well, I try not to think about that. Like, okay. And I'm trying to baby step into the conversation, just kind of eke my way in a little bit. And I was like, well, then how do you feel about Hitler? Because I tend to cannonball. I'm much more splashy and like, woo, And he's like, oh, why does everybody want to talk about Hitler? I'm like, because he's bad. He says this to me, looks me dead in the eye, very, very serious. He goes, Ryan, I just don't think I'm in any position to tell somebody what's right or wrong for their own life. And I'm like, dude, he killed 6 million people. He tried to eradicate races off the face of the earth. And he goes, I know, Ryan, and I hope people won't do that. I just don't think I'm in any position to tell someone what's right or wrong for their life. I'm like, you can't tell Hitler that what he's doing is wrong. And he's like, I can't. I just don't think I'm in that position. I talk for a living. I am stunned into silence. I was like, I'm eating salty, greasy gravy. And he went back to eating vegetables. I didn't know what to do anymore. And he looked really down, and I probably crossed a line. And I was like, man, I'm sorry. I don't mean to make you mad. And he's like, no, it's not you, Ryan. I have a situation at home I got to deal with. And I'm like, really, I'm just curious to understand your belief system, and I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you mad. He goes, no, really, it's not you. I have this thing at home, and I'm really upset by it, and I don't know what to do, and I'm kind of in a quandary. And I go, you want to talk about it? And he's like, yeah, and comes out, one of his roommates in his houseboat stopped paying rent 3 months ago, and he's been talking to him repeatedly about it. Someone he's known for a long, long time, and the guy just won't pay him rent. And now when he goes home, he's got to kick him out. He's got to ask him to leave. And I was like, oh my goodness, that's terrible. And he's like, I just feel awful. I feel horrible about this. I don't know what to do. I'm like, have you known him for a long time? He's like, it's one of my best friends. And I talked to him about it. He didn't really say anything. And I have to kick him out. And I was like, wow, man, you feel terrible. And he's like, I do. I'm like, yeah, but you can't kick him out. And he goes, I can't? I'm like, no. He's like, why not? I'm like, well, your roommates decided that for him, it's right not to pay you rent. And if you tell him that he has to or you kick him out, that will be oppressive and offensive to him. And since you don't want to be oppressive and offensive, you should let him live there for free. Now, I'm trying to keep a very, very calm face and a collected demeanor at that point. In my head, I'm doing the Tiger Woods. I'm like... And I didn't think of that at all. That was not my thought. The Lord just went woo-hoo and gave it to me. It was fantastic. And I was so excited that he did for me. And the look on his face, he just went, oh. It was kind of like when you drink way too much icy and you're like, ee, you know that. His brain function went, and it stopped. He was like, eh. And he looked at me, his eyes got real big, and I just looked back. I was like, I didn't do that part. That would be very weird and awkward. I just went. I'm staring and he's staring back, and I'm staring and he's staring, and I went, I'm just kidding. And he goes, really? I'm like, no. And he stared for a while longer, and I stared for a while longer. And I said, do you really want to know what I think? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, are you sure? And he goes, yes. I said, kick him out. And he goes, really? I'm like, yeah, what he's doing is wrong. And he got that sour lemon face, like, you know. I'm like, I know you don't want to believe in right and wrong. I get that. I get that concept that you don't understand that. But it is wrong what he's doing. He's stealing from you. He signed a contract agreeing to give you money every month. When he doesn't do that, he's broken his contract. That's called stealing. Stealing is wrong. You don't have a communist thing with him. You're not sharing all the chores and all the work and all the bills and all those things. You're not sharing anything. He's supposed to give you money. You pay bills. That's how it goes. He's stealing from you. Stealing is always wrong. It's always been wrong. It'll always be wrong. We don't have society say stealing is okay. And you should kick him out. And you're showing him in a very tangible way that you can't do anything that you want to do and live in an organized society. That's chaos. You can't live in chaos. We can't just take and, step on people and walk around them. He was just blown away. And he's really, really deep in thought. And I said, you know the whole thing how we can always agree and compromise and get along? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, that doesn't work. He's like, no, it does. It always works. I'm like, well, it literally never works. When you believe something different from me, we can't ever both be right. He's like, Ryan, we can always compromise. I'm like, can we? Do you have a wallet? And he goes, yeah. I go, does it have money and credit cards in it? He said, yes. I said, can I have it? He was like, well, why? I'm like, I don't have enough money and credit cards. I want yours. Can I have yours? And he was like, no. I'm like, well, you want to compromise? He was like, of course. I'm like, just give me half. That'd be great. Just give me half. We'll go to lunch after this. I'll buy. Do you want to give me your wallet? And he was like, no. I'm like, wow, then we can't both be right. And now I'm angry. Very, very angry. And I would like to shoot you. Can I shoot you? He was like, no. Would you like to compromise? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, how about I just shoot your pinky toe off? I'm a good shot. I'll do it. Stick your foot up. You'll cry. I will laugh hysterically. It'll even each other out. Compromise will be had. And then we'll go to lunch and I'll buy. He didn't want to do that. I'm like, it doesn't work. If you think north is that way and I think it's that way, one of us has to be wrong. In fact, we might both be wrong. Because the earth doesn't care what I believe. The polar caps of the earth aren't waiting for me to wake up and go, today it will be this way. The earth is like, this way, that way, this way. Two people believe different things, so we will split into parallel universes and we can all be right in our own separate universe of reality and rightness, or not. So, wrong-ish. Hug?
All right, so what was the point he was trying to make?
Not everyone can be right and wrong.
Not everybody can be right and wrong. More specifically, two people cannot believe two different things and both of them be right. In fact, like he said, they might both be wrong. And like I opened up with a little, false scripture right there. Jesus didn't say, I'm one of the ways, I'm one of the truths, I'm one of the lives. He said, what did he say? The only way. Here's your point. Actually, no, we're not going to get there yet. Have you ever seen this symbol? Boom. You guys ever seen this symbol?
Yes.
What's it trying to communicate?
That we're all equal.
That we're all existential, that we can coexist. What are the symbols themselves?
One's Jewish, one's male and female, one's a peace sign.
Islamic.
Basically, what is sign trying to? Yeah. What it's trying to communicate is that, hey, you can believe whatever, I can believe whatever, and we can both be right. It's saying that you can believe what you want to believe, I can believe what I want to believe, but we can both be right. Not that we can believe and agree to disagree. That's a different thing. It's not saying we can agree to disagree. It's saying you believe what you want, I believe one, and we're both right. Jesus said, here's your scripture, I'll read it to you. John 14:6. If you don't have this memorized, memorize this. Jesus said, I am the way and the truth and the life. I am the way, the truth, and the life. Then he backed it up and he said this. No one comes to the Father except through me. Let me break that down for you. No one comes to the Father. Who's the Father? God. Except through me. Who's the me? In other words, only faith in Christ leads to heaven. All other roads lead to hell. Last week I asked you guys that if you embrace Jesus by faith. Last week I asked you guys if you believe in the one true way, that is Jesus. Last week I asked you guys if you repented of your sins and by faith accepted Jesus. We talked about that. So I'm hitting on it again. You might say, be like, that sounds so much like a broken record. I know. Part of what I do is a broken record because guess what? I have one message to preach. Just one. Jesus Christ. Now that, there's God actually says a lot about Jesus. There's the whole Bible here. But the message is the same. Faith in Christ. That's it. Faith in Christ, faith in Christ, faith in Christ. There's no other way. There's no other way. So if you've already accepted, we talked about this last week, if you've accepted Christ as your Savior, if you had a moment in your life where you ask God for forgiveness of your sins, you put your faith in Christ, that's awesome. Here's my message for you. Okay? Does your life reflect it? If you've come to Christ and you've asked for forgiveness of sins, you put your faith in, that's awesome. Does your life reflect it? Where are you failing in that? I have to ask this question myself all the time because I am failing in definitely areas of my life. Just because I'm a Christian doesn't mean I'm perfect. And so I have to come back to this question a lot. Where am I failing? Where am I not reflecting Christ? Where am I not glorifying God? That's my question for you if you definitely put your faith in Christ. If you've not accepted Christ, I said this last week, I'm going to say it again. If you've not accepted Christ, don't mess around. This is the most important question you will ever ask yourself. And if you haven't accepted Christ, we're going to do something different tonight. If you haven't accepted Christ, I'm going to go, and it's not raining right now, so I'll stand outside. If it starts raining, I'll go over to the overhang. I'll be out there after our closing song. And if you want to talk more about this, I'd be happy to talk with you. Ian will take the guys over to breakout. Katie's going to stand here with the girls. If just something in your gut is like, talk to Ryan. Come talk to me. Come talk to me. I'm going to stand outside after the closing song. Let's stand up and let's pray. Did I not give you the point? Let's get over that. All right. Here we go. The point. The gospel is not tolerant, it's exclusive.
Wait.
The gospel is not, I apologize for skipping over that. The gospel is not tolerant, it's exclusive. It's exclusive. What that means is what I was saying. One way, one truth, one life. The gospel is not tolerant, it's exclusive. All right, so let's sing.